And the title is Unsupervised Image-to-Image Translation with Self-Attention Network. So please.
Okay, thanks for your introduction. Kazuyuki Hara from Session Chair. My name is Taewon Kang from Sejong Academy of Science and Industry. I'm going to introduce some of my recent work regarding image-to-image translation. This paper title is Unsupervised Image-to-Image Translation with Self-Attention Networks. The corresponding author is Kwang from Boeing Korea Engineering and Technology Center. First, we need to know about what image-to-image translation is. Here is an example. So the sunny road image on the left is translated to a rainy road image. How can a machine translate a day image to a rainy road image? This is an example of an image-to-image translation problem. In image-to-image translation, always to map an input image from one domain to an analogous image in a different domain. Image-to-image translation has many other practical applications. Many computer vision problems, such as embedding, star transfer, super resolution, and colorization. They can be viewed as a particular case of translating an image from one distribution to another by transferring from a black and white image to color image. For example, when we need to train a self-driving car system, but most of our training data is composed of sunny images, we can use image-to-image translation to generate images in different weather conditions, such as snowy and rainy data. Also, image-to-image translation can be used as a data augmentation tool to generate more training data. Image-to-image translation can be started in either unsupervised image-to-image translation and unsupervised image-to-image translation. In the supervised image-to-image translation, we are given a pair of corresponding images from two domains. We know these pairs of contour and RGB images are the same shoes. But in the unsupervised image-to-image translation, we only have two data sets, and we don't know what image should be mapped to which. As you can see in this slide, you can see this data set with our paired unsupervised image-to-image translation. We have similar data sets of day and night images, but they are not aligned. So, unsupervised image-to-image translation is a much harder problem than supervised image-to-image translation because they are much more ambiguous. Pix-to-pix is a representative supervised image-to-image translation model. The Pix-to-pix framework uses a conditional generated adversarial networks to run a mapping from input to output images. For example, edge to photo, as you can see in this slide, the discriminator D runs the classifier between fake and real edge and photo tuples. The generator G runs to foot the discriminator. Unlike an unconditional GAN, both the generator and discriminator observe the input as well. SAGAN is the first unsupervised image-to-image translation algorithm, which proposes the cycle consistency. For example, when you need to translate from dog to cat and translate it back from cat to dog, the translation should arrive back at the original dog. The translation networks for both directions are trained together, and they provide supervision signals for each other. Image-to-image translation can be divided into unimodal image-to-image translation and multimodal image-to-image translation. Unimodal image-to-image translation generates results by one. Multimodal image-to-image translation generates results by n. Like this, there is a Paris cat in here. Unit is one of the unimodal image-to-image translation algorithms. Unlike SAGAN, unit proposes a different assumption, which are called shared weighted space. This assumes that the weighted space can be shared by both domains, such as two analogous images are mapped to the same weighted code. This unimodal image-to-image translation models are almost unsuccessful to translate into diverse users. Unit is not a representative multimodal image-to-image translation model. Unit assumes that the image representation can be decomposed into a content code, contains domain invariant and the style code that captures the domain-specific profiles. There is another multimodal image-to-image translation model, which is methodologically almost the same as unit. The only difference is that the content code of the one domain and the style code of another domain are combined by concatenating them. To summarize, image-to-image translation can be divided into supervised image-to-image translation and unsupervised image-to-image translation. Can be divided into, and each part is divided in unimodal and multimodal settings. In particular, we will focus on multimodal image-to-image translation by unit-oriented. In unsupervised settings, manual shows the output forming result for style transfer task, but are typically unsuccessful for image translation tasks with larger shape change. For example, you can see the light figures. SAGAN shows the best result in style transfer such as movement to photo, jiva, and poses. However, it fails for the cases with geometry change such as apple to orange, dog to cat, cat to dog. As you can see this figure, dogs to a cat, they are not changed. You can see the superiorities in SAGAN paper and official site. Unit and unit algorithms produce better results compared to SAGAN, but their good performances are limited for aligned or crop dataset. We tested both algorithms for several unaligned datasets with geometry change and client fed results. To acquire better results for the unaligned dataset with geometry change, we first started with unit framework as baseline model. Unit jointly trains the encoders, decoders, and discriminators to optimize the final objective, which is the weighted sum of the adversarial rules and in the bidirectional reconstruction rules terms. Lambda x, c, and s are weights that control the importance of reconstruction terms. For our experiments, we used cat to dog, face to cat, face to dog, portrait, and edge to shoes dataset. Cat to dog contains cat and dog datasets. Face to cat dataset contains survey face images and cat images. Face to dog datasets contains survey face and dog images. Portrait dataset contains portrait and face images. Edge to shoes contains shoes contour and shoes images. We conducted various experiments by tuning the hyperparameters of unit framework, and I will show the best hyperparameter tuning results. In the first experiments, we modified values or delayed values for the content reconstruction rules and the style reconstruction rules. This slide shows two examples with different values, weight values. This shows the results for the aforementioned hyperparameter tunings for face-to-cat dataset. As you can see in this slide, you can see the result of incomplete results such as the cat with 4 ears. Right here, the face to cat. There is a cat with 4 ears. This figure shows the result for face to dog dataset. You can see unnatural results too in here. Like I circled in here is a bad result. The second experiment is to adjust the numbers of layers of discriminator network. The default setting of unit, the number of layers in the discriminator is 3, and we test by changing the number of layers in the discriminator by as 4 and 5. This figure shows the result of modifying the numbers of layers in the discriminator for face-to-cat dataset. You can see incomplete results in 2. This shows the results for face-to-dog dataset. You can see unnatural results in here too. Here, here, so many. As you can see from the previous experiments, hyperparameter modification did not yield satisfactory results. To obtain more realistic results, we try to combine unit with a different type of network architecture. Self-retention GAN introduce a self-attention mechanism into convolution GANs. The self-attention model is complementary to convolutions and help with modeling long-range, multi-level dependencies across image regions. Armed with self-attention, the generator can draw images in which fine details at every location are carefully coordinated with fine details in distant portions of the image. Self-attention GAN achieves the state-of-the-art performance on cross-conditional image generation or ImageNet. And I will introduce our method, unsupervised image-to-image translation with self-attention networks. Our network architecture is devised by combining several self-attention blocks into the generator and discriminator of unit. To explore the effect of proposed self-attention mechanism, we build several networks architectures by adding the self-attention to different stages of the generator and the discriminator. As a result, for the generator, the self-attention layers are placed before the downsampling layer in the encoder and before the upsampling layer in the decoder, respectively. For the discriminator, it is added before the downsampling layer. You can see in this slide, this is a figure of our methods. We conducted various experiments to evaluate the effectiveness of the self-attention networks in our model. First, we applied self-attention block before downsampling, before upsampling, before downsampling and upsampling, 3 times before downsampling, and 3 times before upsampling. In case of self-attention on DS layer, I will introduce these meanings. It is self-attention on downsampling layer and upsampling layer, and self-attention on downsampling layer multiplies 3, and self-attention on upsampling layers multiplies 3. This DS means downsampling and US means upsampling. In case of SA on DS layer and SA on US layer, and SA on DS layers multiplies 3, and US layers upsampling 3, we could not obtain the well-translated results. However, self-attention on downsampling layer and upsampling layer in the final one, model generated more realistic images than other methods. Based on this experiment, we applied self-attention on downsampling layer and upsampling layer to our model. We used the unit default settings for the experiments, and we used 4 Titan X GPUs for the experiments, and we trained network over 1 area epoch for about 5 days. In the process of changing the image of a cat to a dog image, SAGAN is unable to generate a dog image since it only takes the color from the image. In case of the lit, there is a problem with the image being distorted, and it's hard to see it as a dog image reflecting the shape and direction of a cat and dog. In the process of translating the human face images to cat and dog, SAGAN and DRIT could not obtain the well-designed results. Most translation results were distorted. In the case of unit and minute, the shape of the human faces was a little off or distorted in the translated image. Face to the dog is the same as face to cat. We evaluated face to cat result, and vice versa, cat to face results too. We evaluated face to dog results, and vice versa, dog to face results too. Even at the stage of changing the portrait data set to a face, SAGAN has not been able to convert portrait photos to face at all. In the case of DRIT, conversion is not performed by generating irrelevant images. In the case of unit and minute, there is a problem with the image being distorted, although it reflects the shape. In the process of translating from the shear's contour to a shear's image, a model generated more realistic results, keeping the pose and style of a domain than the results for other models. For the qualitative evaluation, we also conducted a user study on 80 participants.
The result of study are summarized as follows. First, 192 images were selected randomly in the questionnaires, and the questionnaires were used to select the best image that reflects the pose of the input image and the appearance of the target domain as well. This figure shows that our method yields qualitatively superior result to existing GAN models. We use FID, free chat insertion distance, for quantitative evaluation analysis, for comparing the statistic of generating samples with real samples. By comparing the results of our with the existing image-to-image translation algorithms, we found that the optimal result were obtained. We proposed a method about unsupervised image-to-image translation with subpotential networks, in which low-range dependency helps not only capture tone geometric change, but also generate details using cues for all future occasions. In our experiments, we showed that the proposed method outperforms the existing state-of-the-art unsupervised image-to-image translation methods. Thank you. If you have questions for this paper, please contact me with these two emails. My email is itschool@itsc.kr, and corresponding other email is kwang.me2@boeing.com. Thank you very much.